Welcome to the Eerie Hour. Some places don't just haunt you, they wait. You step into the hushed, decay-laden air of the abandoned facility. Dust motes dance in the single shaft of light piercing a high window, illuminating forgotten machinery draped in cobwebs. The silence here is heavy, like held breath. It's said this place was sealed off decades ago, after incidents no one talks about. Old security cameras, inert sentinels coated in grime, are mounted high in every corner, lending a constant, unsettling feeling of being watched. You came seeking answers about a local legend, a whisper of something lost or contained here. Your exploration leads you to a section of the lowest level, unexpectedly cold, where a reinforced steel door is set into the concrete wall. Its hinges rusted shut, covered by a peeling "Do Not Open" sign, half obscured by moss. It doesn't appear on any blueprints. This is the forgotten exit. A faint, almost imperceptible hum seems to emanate from behind it. This is where the story truly begins, with the decision to pry open what was meant to stay closed. If you enjoy descending into the strange and the forgotten, don't forget to like and subscribe, and share your theories below. Now, let's begin, but remember, once the story starts, something always follows. The air here bites with a cold that has nothing to do with drafts or broken heating. It is a sterile, ancient chill that sinks into bone, clinging to the damp concrete like a shroud. Your breath plumes visibly, a fragile cloud against the pervasive gloom. This lowest level was hard to find. Access routes choked with rubble and collapsed sections of wall, as if the building itself had tried to bury this floor. The concrete beneath your boots feels oddly resonant, not solid as it should, but humming faintly. A vibration you feel more than hear, and it seems strongest near the sealed door. The steel is thick, unyielding, a barrier meant to last. Rust blossoms across its surface like a dark, spreading stain. The "Do Not Open" sign is a pathetic, peeling rectangle of faded red, its edges curling away from the wall, revealing the moss that has taken root between the sign and the concrete. Beneath the moss, a strange, geometric pattern is faintly etched into the metal of the door itself. A series of interlocking lines that make no immediate sense, yet feel deeply, disturbingly familiar. The cameras are everywhere here too, even in this buried place. They are fixed high on the walls, silent witnesses coated in the same thick layer of dust as everything else. Their lenses, dark eyes, watching your every move. You run a hand over the rusted steel, the texture rough and cold against your palm. There's a pressure building in your chest, a strange mix of dread and intense curiosity. The legend spoke of things hidden here, of secrets meant to stay buried. This door feels like the heart of those whispers. It calls to you, not with a sound you can name, but with a resonance that vibrates within your own skull. The faint hum behind the door seems to synchronize with it. A peculiar thought takes root, unsettling in its certainty. The cameras aren't just old equipment. They are listening. You came for answers, and every instinct screams that the answer is behind this door. No matter the warning sign, no matter the unnatural cold, no matter the silent, static gaze of the cameras, the initial caution has dissolved, replaced by a singular, overriding compulsion. You need to get inside. You begin searching for a way to force the lock, scraping at the thick rust, fingers searching for a weakness. The air thickens, pressing closer. What kind of secrets require this much steel and this kind of silence? The question lingers, unanswered, and perhaps that is the point. The rusted lock groans in protest, a sound swallowed quickly by the heavy silence of the level. You brace yourself against the cold steel door, applying leverage, feeling the ancient metal resist. The geometric pattern beneath the moss seems to writhe slightly in your peripheral vision, an optical illusion born of strain and dim light. But it sends a jolt of unease through you. The hum intensifies slightly as you work, no longer just a vibration, but a low, resonant chord that seems to emanate from the very air around the door, not just behind it. It's like the building is sighing, or maybe something else entirely. The old cameras high on the walls remain motionless, dark lenses pointed downward, but the feeling of being observed sharpens, becoming almost unbearable. It's not the simple feeling of being watched. It feels like being recorded. Every breath, every strained muscle, every thought passing through your mind being captured by those inert eyes. A vivid atmospheric detail emerges from the dust. The air near the door carries a faint metallic tang, like old blood or ozone, mixed with the pervasive damp decay. It's sour and sharp, unlike anything else in the facility. You pull harder, the rusted hinges screeching, a sound that feels like tearing fabric in the stillness. The mental descent deepens. The initial curiosity has curdled into a desperate, single-minded need. Logic suggests this is a terrible idea, that doors sealed this thoroughly are sealed for a reason, but the urge to open it is overwhelming, a primal command. You are no longer exploring, you are obeying. A moment of psychological fracture occurs as you fleetingly question if the hum is real or if it's inside your head, a manifestation of the strange pressure building there. Is this obsession your own, or has it been placed there? The geometric pattern on the door, partially revealed now as more moss is scraped away, looks even more complex, like a circuit board designed by something alien. It aligns with the faint vibration you feel. The symbolic motif of the cameras feels heavier now, not just observation, but capture. They are archiving this moment, this violation. A strange calm settles over you amidst the frantic effort, a chilling acceptance of whatever lies on the other side. You pause, catching your breath, listening to the hum that is now undeniably audible, a low-frequency pulse that seems to wrap around you. The silence here is not empty. It is filled with waiting. The hinges finally give way with a tearing shriek of metal. The heavy steel door begins to swing inward, revealing only darkness and a deeper, colder draft. What whispers back from the void is not sound, but absence, a hungry quiet that swallows the light from your handheld beam. The darkness beyond the door is absolute, a tangible void that seems to drink the weak light you shine into it. It offers no immediate visual clues, only the intensified cold and the now persistent hum, which seems to vibrate within the darkness itself. As the heavy door scrapes fully open, you step inside. The air is different here, stale and lifeless, carrying the faint, metallic tang from outside, but stronger and overlaid with something else. A scent like old ozone-charged air after a lightning strike, mingled with dust so fine it coats your tongue. It feels like static electricity crackling in the air, raising the fine hairs on your arms. This is where the recurring motif of static begins to manifest not just visually, the cameras, but physically. The old cameras on the walls outside now seem to hum faintly themselves, their dark lenses catching stray glints of light, like tiny, expectant eyes. A profound moment of emotional fracture strikes, a sudden, overwhelming wave of dread, not just fear, but a certainty that you have made a catastrophic mistake, that opening this door has undone something vital. It's a gut feeling, sharp and debilitating, making your hands tremble. Yet the compulsion remains, dragging you forward into the dark. Your light beam sweeps across the interior. It's a small chamber, not much bigger than a closet, the concrete walls bare and smooth, unbroken by pipes or vents. At the center of the floor is a single unsettling detail, a shallow indentation, perfectly circular, about the size of a dinner plate, filled with a dark, viscous liquid that doesn't reflect light. It seems to absorb it. This is the central supernatural event for this section, an anomaly with no logical place or purpose. You kneel cautiously, shining your light on the liquid. It doesn't ripple, doesn't show any surface tension. It's perfectly still, utterly black. The air around the indentation feels even colder. As you lean closer, the hum intensifies again, focused directly on the dark pool. The geometric pattern from the door is faintly visible here too, etched into the concrete around the circular indentation, as if this was the endpoint, the focus of the design. The static feeling in the air is almost painful now. A pressure building behind your eyes. An ambiguous thought forms, unbidden. Is this a drain or something meant to contain? The old cameras outside feel closer now, their silent presence a physical weight. They are recording this, documenting your intrusion, your gaze fixed on the black liquid. The cold here is unnatural, not just absence of heat, but active cold, drawing warmth from you, leaving you shivering despite yourself. This chamber feels like a waiting room, a place designed for something, or someone, to arrive. The dark liquid in the indentation remains stubbornly still, reflecting nothing, offering no answers. The air thickens with the metallic, static scent. The hum is louder now, a low thrumming that resonates in your chest. The geometric patterns etched into the concrete around the dark pool seem to pulse dimly with the hum, though you can't be sure. It might just be your eyes playing tricks in the dim light. Stepping back from the indentation, you scan the small room again. There's nothing else here, just the smooth concrete walls, the dark pool, and the chilling cold. But as your light sweeps the far wall, you notice something subtle. A faint shimmer in the concrete, as if a section is vibrating at a frequency just beyond your perception. It's your central supernatural event, a wall that isn't quite solid, or perhaps is oscillating. You press a hand against it. It feels solid, cold concrete, but beneath your palm, you feel a faint, rapid vibration, like a hidden motor. The air around this vibrating section intensifies the static charge. It feels like touching a faulty electrical device. This is the vivid atmospheric detail, the physical sensation of the humming concrete. The omnipresent feeling of being watched by the cameras outside grows, their presence pressing in. It's no longer just a feeling. It's a certainty that they are active, somehow, despite their dust-coated inertia. They are capturing this moment of discovery, your hand on the vibrating wall, A deep wave of psychological fracture hits, a moment of profound disorientation. You blink, and for a split second, the room isn't the same. The walls seem to waver, the dark pool seems to bulge upwards slightly. Then it snaps back to normal. But the certainty that you saw something impossible lingers, a chilling doubt planted firmly in your mind. Did I just hallucinate? Or did the room itself shift? The ambiguous line hangs in the static-charged air. You touch the vibrating wall again, carefully. The geometric pattern is visible on this wall too, integrated into the concrete, converging towards the shimmering section. The symbolic motif of static feels like it's entering your mind now, not just the air. Thoughts fragment, jump like a weak signal. You feel increasingly detached, as if your own actions are being watched and recorded by an external observer. The unnerving thought returns, more insistent this time. The cameras aren't just listening, they are influencing. What is happening to the wall? What is the dark pool for? The questions pile up, heavy and cold, like stones in your gut, and the only answer is the persistent, resonant hum. The vibrating section of wall intensifies its tremor, the humming louder, more insistent. It's no longer just a faint vibration. It's a deep, resonant oscillation that rattles your teeth. The feeling of static electricity in the air becomes almost painful, like pins and needles prickling your skin. The dark liquid in the indentation ripples now, ever so slightly, the black surface disturbed by the vibration, yet still stubbornly lightless. The dust motes, caught in your beam, seem to dance faster, swirling in a chaotic pattern. The old cameras outside begin to make a sound, a low, clicking whine, like mechanisms stirring after a long sleep. This is the central supernatural event. The cameras are waking up, or perhaps have been awake all along. Their dark lenses seem brighter now, somehow, reflecting glints of light that shouldn't be there in the dim hallway. A vivid atmospheric detail manifests. The air near the vibrating wall starts to taste metallic, like licking a battery, sharp and unpleasant. The pressure behind your eyes becomes a throbbing ache. A moment of psychological fracture occurs. You find yourself talking to the cameras, whispering questions to the inert boxes. A desperate need for them to provide answers, to explain what is happening. It's a surrender to the uncanny, a break from rational thought. Why are you watching? What did they put in here? The questions are swallowed by the rising hum and the clicking of the cameras. The geometric patterns on the wall and floor seem to glow faintly with an internal light, pulsing in sync with the vibration. The recurring symbolic motif of static is no longer just visual or ambient. It feels like it's affecting your memory. Moments seem to skip or loop. You feel as though you've been standing here for hours, or maybe just seconds. The lines between past actions and present observations blur, like fragmented signals. You stumble back from the vibrating wall, the sense of being observed by the clicking cameras outside, now overwhelming, intrusive. It feels as though they are recording your fear, archiving your confusion. The dark pool is still, but seems somehow deeper, hungrier. The air here is thick with anticipation, a palpable tension that settles over you. Is this chamber a prison? Or is it a birthplace? The ambiguity coils in the cold air. The humming wall, the clicking cameras, the lightless pool, they are all converging, waiting. The humming wall reaches a crescendo, the vibration shaking the small chamber. Dust falls from the ceiling in thick curtains. The clicking of the cameras outside becomes a frantic chatter, a symphony of awakening mechanisms. The air crackles with so much static you can hear it, a high-pitched fizzing sound that drowns out the hum. The dark liquid in the indentation churns, no longer still, but swirling slowly like ink in water, yet still absorbing all light. This is the central supernatural event. The dark pool is active. It pulls at your gaze, a terrifying gravity. A chilling, vivid, atmospheric detail emerges, a cold spot, specifically localized, just above the churning liquid, so intense it feels like touching ice. It doesn't disperse, it just hangs there, a pocket of absolute zero. The camera's lenses outside glow with a faint, internal red light now, tiny, malevolent eyes in the gloom. The sense of being watched is no longer observation. It feels like active consumption, as though the cameras are drinking in the events unfolding. A profound moment of psychological fracture rips through you. A sudden, crystal-clear memory surfaces, not your own. It is a fragmented image, like static on a screen. A figure in the chamber, standing over the pool, fear in their eyes, and the sound of a heavy door slamming shut. It is not your memory, but it feels undeniably real. A traumatic imprint recorded here, perhaps by the cameras, and now played back. Was this a cage for something? Or someone? The ambiguous line echoes the borrowed memory. The geometric patterns on the wall and floor pulse brighter, their light sickly and green, illuminating the churning black liquid. The recurring symbolic motif of static has become your internal state. Your thoughts are fractured. Your sense of self is breaking apart under the weight of the borrowed memory and the overwhelming sensory input. You are losing yourself in the signal, becoming part of the recording. The cameras outside click faster, their red eyes fixed on you, on the pool. The air is thick with ozone and dread. The dark liquid begins to rise, slowly, impossibly, spilling over the edges of the indentation, spreading across the concrete floor like a hungry shadow. The black liquid spreads across the floor of the small chamber, silent and relentless, absorbing the light from your beam, leaving puddles of absolute darkness. The humming wall has quieted, the vibration now a low thrum again, almost a sigh of relief. The cameras outside have fallen silent too, their red lights fading back into darkness. The frantic clicking stopped. The static crackle in the air has subsided, leaving only the metallic ozone tang. This sudden quiet is the most unsettling thing of all, a central supernatural event. The storm has passed, but the consequences remain. The quiet is not peaceful. It is the calm after an unknown act has been completed. A vivid atmospheric detail. The spreading liquid gives off a faint, sweet, sickeningly cloying odor, like decaying flowers or spoiled fruit, completely different from the sharp tang that preceded it. It catches in your throat. A moment of psychological fracture sets in, deeper than before. You find yourself trying to wipe the memory you saw, the fragmented image of the figure by the pool, from your mind, but it is etched there, part of you now, an unwanted recording. You question if it was truly a memory or a projection, something placed in your head. What did they record here that they wanted forgotten? The ambiguous question hangs in the silent, foul-smelling air. The geometric patterns on the walls and floor have faded, the green light gone, leaving only the faint etchings. The recurring symbolic motif of static is still present, but it is internal now. The lingering sense of fragmentation in your thoughts. The unsettling feeling that parts of your own timeline might be missing, erased, or overwritten. The dark liquid stops spreading, forming an uneven pool that coats most of the floor. It remains utterly black, utterly still. The cameras outside are silent, dark. They have recorded what they needed. You are standing in the aftermath, coated in the strange, lingering odor, the borrowed memory playing on repeat in your mind. The sealed door you opened stands ajar behind you, a gaping mouth leading back to the dusty, slightly less terrifying decay of the rest of the facility. But going back doesn't feel like escape. It feels like leaving the scene of a crime you may have committed, or perhaps witnessed and now carry within you. The silence outside the chamber is heavy again, the air dusty and cool, a stark contrast to the chamber's cloying, unnatural stillness. You step back through the doorway, pulling the heavy steel door almost shut behind you, leaving just a sliver of darkness visible. The dark liquid remains within, contained once more. Utterly silent now. The cameras high on the walls are inert again, coated in dust, their lenses dark and lifeless. But you know better now. You know they recorded it all. The feeling of being watched lingers, a permanent residue, not just from the cameras, but from something else that resides in the periphery, just out of sight. The cloying smell of decay and spoiled sweetness clings to your clothes, an unwelcome reminder of the dark pool. The geometric patterns on the door seem duller now, less threatening, but you know they are there, waiting to be found again. The psychological residue is profound. The fragmented memory plays on repeat, a chilling loop of someone else's final moments by that dark pool. You are not yourself. You are a recording, overlaid with trauma that isn't yours, carrying a secret that was meant to stay buried. The recurring motif of static isn't visible or audible. It's the quiet hum in your own mind, the fragmented nature of your thoughts, the unsettling knowledge that something fundamental shifted when you opened that door. You leave the lowest level, the path back feeling longer, heavier than the path down. The silence follows you, broken only by your own footsteps and the ghost of a hum that might just be your blood in your ears. The facility is still abandoned, still decaying, but it feels different now. It feels like a monument to something contained, something recorded, something waiting. You found the sealed exit, and in doing so, you opened a door within yourself. The unanswered questions remain. What was in the pool? What did the cameras record? What happened to the person in the memory? And what exactly did you let out or let in? The facility stands silent behind you, a tomb or a cradle, the line blurred forever. And if you hear it again tonight, don't answer. Not yet. The heavy door groans, then lurches inward, the ancient seal snapping like a frozen branch. A rush of air, but not the familiar scent of outside or the expected must of an empty void. It's air that clings, thick and heavy, carrying a strange metallic tang, like old blood or circuitry left out in the rain. You step through the threshold, the stone floor gritty under your shoes. Before you stretches not freedom, but a short, utterly black corridor ending abruptly at another door, identical to the one you just forced open. The momentary surge of triumph at breaking the seal dissolves instantly, replaced by a prickle of apprehension that crawls up your spine. As you take another step into the gloom, the door behind you doesn't just close, it slams shut, with impossible, deafening force. The stone vibrates under your feet. It feels less like something closing and more like a presence asserting itself, a sudden, violent assertion that traps you in this narrow space. The corridor, which seemed short moments ago, now stretches, elongating in the darkness. The walls themselves seem to subtly ripple at the edges of your vision, solid stone losing its definition, becoming fluid and unstable. A palpable cold sinks deep into your bones, coupled with a growing sense of pressure in your chest, as if descending into deep water. Your heart pounds, a frantic drumbeat against the sudden silence that follows the slam. But the silence isn't complete. Below the ringing in your ears, faint mechanical sounds begin to surface, like distant, poorly maintained machinery or archaic recording equipment whirring softly. Beneath that, and increasingly noticeable now, is a low, persistent hiss, a sound like white noise or old radio static searching for a signal. The static feels tied to the very air you breathe, a low-frequency vibration that resonates inside your skull. Confidence crumbles, giving way to a potent wave of unease. This isn't right. None of this is right. The metallic taste on your tongue intensifies with every breath of the cold, heavy air. The rippling walls are disorienting, making you doubt what your eyes are showing you. Was the door really identical? Did it really slam shut like that? Or was the sound just an echo, exaggerated by fear? The questions twist inside your mind, blurring the edges of reality, a quickening descent into genuine fear. A suffocating sense of claustrophobia begins to close in, the narrow corridor feeling less like a passage and more like a tightening vice. Disorientation washes over you. Are you even moving forward? Has the door behind you vanished entirely? The hiss of the static grows louder, a constant reminder of the unseen forces at play in this space. It feels like the air itself is speaking a dead language, a language of interference and disruption. You strain your eyes into the darkness ahead, towards the second door. For a fraction of a second, something moves at the far end of the corridor, just within the periphery of your vision. A brief, fleeting shadow that darts back into the deeper gloom. Or perhaps it was just the rippling walls playing tricks on your tired eyes. A phantom born of encroaching panic. You tell yourself it was nothing, but the chilling certainty of seeing it lingers, sharp and undeniable. What happens when the air itself becomes a lie you breathe? You can only stand here, suspended in the cold, the static whispering secrets you can't quite decipher, waiting for the shadow to show itself again. The air shifts as the second door swings inward, not with the familiar resistance of wood or metal, but a strange liquid give, like stepping through thickened humidity. You are not entering a simple room. You step into a space that warps perspective. It feels vast, impossibly larger on the inside than the structure should allow, stretching out into dim, undefined corners, a cavernous anomaly within the known confines of the facility. It is a place that should not be here, should not connect to the narrow corridor that brought you. In one corner, stacked haphazardly, are old security monitors, dozens of them, their screens flickering with a violent, snowy static. They are active, humming with a low electrical thrum that adds another layer to the mechanical chorus already resonating through the building. Occasionally, the static breaks, offering split-second glimpses, not of other rooms in this place, but of scenes that defy geography and time. A distorted forest where trees twist into impossible shapes, A street corner from decades past, bathed in unnatural light. A brief, terrifying flash of something you cannot quite name. A dark shape moving too fast in the periphery. The confusion sharpens, pushing aside the raw fear that propelled you through the corridor. You try to anchor yourself, scanning the immediate environment, seeking logic in the layout, searching for a control panel, a power source, anything familiar. But as you look, things seem different. A worn chair you registered near the monitors now sits several feet closer to the wall. A scatter of dusty papers on a table rearranges itself subtly before your eyes, as if nudged by an invisible hand. You reach out, touch a cold metal surface, then feel a sudden, localized warmth bloom around your hand, radiating from nothing, a sudden, chilling anomaly in the temperature. These are not tricks of the light or tired eyes. These are environmental shifts, quiet, impossible rearrangements. The mechanical sounds here are louder, closer, an industrial grind mixed with a high-pitched whine, and within them, woven into the static and the hum, are other sounds, not distinct words, but tones, cadences that mimic human speech, distorted whispers that seem to rise and fall from the flickering screens and the very walls themselves. It sounds like voices, but broken, rearranged, like radio signals from somewhere far, far away, or maybe from somewhere just beneath your skin. Your hand goes to your head. You question everything now. Is this fatigue? Hallucinations brought on by stress? Is the air in here laced with something? The frantic attempt to rationalize battles against the undeniable evidence of your senses. The room is playing tricks, or perhaps your mind is the one breaking down. The static on the monitors feels like the static in your thoughts, a growing internal chaos mirroring the external disturbance. And then, on one monitor, amidst the snow, a flicker clears just long enough. You see yourself standing there, but you are not alone in the frame. There is something else, a shadow, a presence just behind you, indistinct, watchful. The image snaps back to static. It leaves you rooted, caught between terror and a profound, chilling self-doubt. You are seeing these things, hearing them, feeling the impossible cold and warmth. The room is changing around you. But what if the real change is happening inside, a quiet fracture in the glass of your perception? What if the glimpses are not reflections of impossible places, but projections from a mind that is losing its hold? The static fills your vision, a snowstorm of doubt. Something is trying to tell you a story, but the signal is broken. Or perhaps you are the one who is no longer receiving it clearly. Maybe the static isn't just on the screen. Maybe it lives here, breathing, waiting for you to listen closely enough to understand its impossible language. Welcome to the eerie hour. Some places don't just haunt you, they wait. You stand on the threshold of such a place, a structure seemingly forgotten by time, nestled deep within an isolated valley, where the wind carries whispers that aren't its own. It was a place of observation, they said, of study. But the dust on the monitors and the silence in the halls suggest the studies ended long ago. Yet, a low hum persists, a quiet frequency that vibrates not just in the air, but deep within your bones. The light here is weak, filtering through grimy windows or struggling from fluorescent tubes that groan with failing energy. Every shadow feels heavy, deliberate, as if placed with care. This is where the line between observer and observed blurs, where the past isn't gone, merely waiting for its cue. The air is thick with the scent of ozone and something else, something metallic and sour, like old blood or dying batteries. You came seeking answers. A reason for the pull this place exerted, a pull felt even from miles away. But as the door seals behind you with a soft, final click, you realize answers might be the last thing you find. What waits here isn't meant to be understood. If you enjoy descending into the strange and the forgotten, don't forget to like and subscribe, and share your theories below. Now, let's begin. But remember, once the story starts, something always follows. The silence is the first assault, not empty, but filled with a pressure that pushes in on your eardrums. It is punctuated only by the persistent hum and the soft crunch of dust under your shoes as you move deeper into the abandoned facility. Monitors line the walls of empty control rooms, their screens dark mirrors reflecting back a distorted, elongated version of yourself. In some, a faint flicker remains, a promise of function never fully withdrawn. You pass rows of observation booths, their glass panes opaque with grime, concealing whatever experiments or inhabitants they once contained. There's a chill that has nothing to do with the temperature, a coldness that sinks into the marrow. You reach for a doorknob, the metal surprisingly cold beneath your touch, and push the door open into another corridor identical to the last. Or is it? A subtle difference catches your eye, a crack in the wall that wasn't there before, a different number on a doorplate. You pause, retracing your steps mentally, but the image of the previous corridor dissolves like smoke. It is as if the layout shifts just beyond your perception, a silent, spatial sleight of hand. The hum intensifies slightly, and one of the nearby monitors sparks to life, not with an image, but with a furious burst of static. It's a violent snowstorm of white and black, accompanied by a sudden sharp hiss from the monitor's speaker. The sound makes you flinch back. It isn't just random noise, there's a rhythm to it, an unsettling pattern that seems to pulse in time with the humming vibration in the air. Your heart rate quickens, a frantic drum against the facility's calm, deliberate breathing. You tell yourself it's just old equipment, faulty wiring reacting to your presence, but the thought feels flimsy, insufficient. The static continues for a moment, a buzzing veil over nothing, before the screen dies again, plunging the corner into deeper shadow. A chill that feels distinctly like breath touches the back of your neck, and you spin around, but nothing is there except the silent observation booths. The crack in the wall seems deeper now, wider, a dark line drawing itself across the painted surface. A sense of profound uncertainty washes over you. You are here, in this place, but it feels less like you are exploring it and more like it is unfolding around you, specifically for you. You continue through the corridors, the layout subtly, maddeningly rearranging itself. A hallway you walked moments ago might end abruptly now, or a door that was locked is suddenly ajar, revealing a room you don't recall seeing before. The sense of being observed is no longer a feeling, but a certainty, a palpable weight on your shoulders. The air grows colder, and a faint, metallic tang on your tongue accompanies the persistent hum. You pass more monitors, some still dark, others displaying the flickering static that has become the visual signature of this place. It shimmers not just on the screens now, but seems to hang in the air itself, a visual distortion that makes the edges of the rooms waver. There are sounds now, too, faint at first, a distant scraping, a low groan that could be the building settling. Or something else entirely. You stop outside a room with a large observation window, cleaner than the others, offering a partial view into a control console filled with more monitors. As you peer through the glass, your reflection stares back. But it isn't quite right. The figure in the glass is you, yes, but their posture is subtly wrong. Too rigid, the eyes too wide and unblinking. And behind your reflection, in the corner of the room, you cannot directly see from this angle. Something dark and formless seems to writhe within the static on a cluster of screens. You pull back from the glass sharply, your breath catching in your throat. When you look again, your reflection is normal, albeit pale with fear, and the static on the screens within the room seems ordinary, just random noise. Did you imagine it? Your hands tremble slightly. The cold breath feeling returns, stronger this time, a distinct pressure against your skin, as if something invisible leans in close. Doubt claws at you, a corrosive solvent dissolving your certainty. You are in this place, yes, but is this place also in you? The facility continues its slow, deliberate unraveling of your perception. Hallways stretch into impossible lengths. Rooms appear and disappear, their contents shifting like a dream. The static isn't confined to the monitors or the air anymore. It's a constant, low thrumming behind your eyes, a veil interfering with thought. You find yourself standing in areas you have no memory of entering, facing doors that were not here moments ago. The cold, metallic scent is now overpowering, clinging to your clothes, lodged in the back of your throat. As you navigate this shifting maze, you catch glimpses of rooms that feel disturbingly familiar, twisted echoes of places from your own past. A living room with walls that seem to breathe. A bedroom where the furniture is subtly wrong, draped in shadow. They are not your rooms, not exactly, but they carry the undeniable resonance of personal history corrupted. The presence behind the horror begins to interact more directly, not through physical manifestation, but by manipulating these perceived environments, weaving threads of your memory into the fabric of this place. On the screens displaying static, you see fleeting, distorted images, faces you recognize, friends, family, colleagues, their features warped, mouths open in silent screams, trapped within the visual snow. They are like ghosts composed of pure interference. A wave of profound confusion washes over you, followed by a desperate, clawing panic. You stumble, hitting a wall that feels strangely yielding. As you brace yourself, your hand finds a loose panel concealed within the wall surface. Behind it lies a small, damp compartment. Inside, nestled in cobwebs, is an old leather-bound journal, its pages faded, and a small, antiquated audio recorder with a reel of magnetic tape. The journal falls open to a brittle page, covered in frantic, cramped handwriting. It details experiences chillingly similar to your own. The shifting rooms, the faces in the static, the feeling of a gaze that sees everything. The author, a former worker, writes of the eye, the feed, and warns of losing oneself to the intrusion. Reading the words, hearing the faint, crackling playback from the audio log when you manage to activate it, a terrified voice detailing disorientation and fear, is not a relief, but a horror. It confirms that this is not random decay, but an active, hostile intelligence. Your grasp on reality feels fragile, your mind under direct attack, and the static now feels like the very noise of your own thoughts being deliberately scrambled. This, the journal implies, is cyclical. The journal and the audio log offer no clear path, only confirmation of the nightmare and the terrifying implication that you are not the first to be lost here. The entity, the I, or the feed, as the former worker called it, intensifies its assault, using the fragments of memory it seems to have harvested. The distorted rooms become more specific, more deeply personal, recreating scenes from your past, but wrong. A childhood birthday party where the faces are static masks. A quiet conversation with a loved one where their words are replaced by the persistent hum. The static is now a blinding white noise across your vision, a deafening roar in your ears, making it almost impossible to think. It is the very air you breathe, the light you see. The sense of losing control is overwhelming. You try to hold on to a single clear memory, a name, a face, your own reflection, before it became a stranger's. But the static interferes, scrambling the image, twisting the name into an unrecognizable sound. Despair sets in, cold and heavy. What is identity if your past can be rewritten, your present manipulated, and your future seems only to hold further dissolution? You stumble through the shifting corridors, which now blend seamlessly with the distorted echoes of your life, trying to find something stable, something real. The low, guttural hum resonates in your bones, a physical manifestation of the presence's power. You see one of the monitors flicker on, displaying pure static, and within the chaos, a figure begins to coalesce. Someone you know, someone deeply personal, their features visible for a split second before they dissolve back into snow. But their eyes hold a desperate plea, a chilling recognition that mirrors your own fear. This is not just observation, it is consumption. The realization hits you with the force of a physical blow. This place, this entity, feeds on memory, on identity, leaving only the static shell behind. Can you even remember why you came here? The question hangs in the air, unanswered, lost in the roaring static. Slowly, the overwhelming static begins to recede. The blinding white fades. The deafening roar subsides, leaving behind a silence that is heavier, more profound than before. The distorted rooms collapse back into the dust and decay of the facility, though their ghostly outlines seem to linger in the periphery of your vision. The pervasive hum fades, replaced by the faint groan of the building and the distant sigh of wind outside. You are left standing in a corridor that seems, for the moment, stable, unchanged. Physical exhaustion weighs you down, but the mental residue is far heavier. The images of the distorted faces, the twisted memories, the feeling of breath on your neck, they are seared into your consciousness. The journal and audio log lie discarded on the floor, their secrets feeling both vital and utterly useless now. You survive the peak of the intrusion, but survival feels less like victory and more like being left behind by a wave that has retreated, leaving you battered on the shore. The feeling of being watched has not dissipated. It has simply changed, becoming internal. The static is no longer external noise. It is a constant fuzziness behind your eyes, interfering with clear thought, making memories feel distant and unreliable. You try to recall the details of what happened, the sequence of events, but the specifics are hazy, lost in the lingering interference. Did you find an answer? Was there ever one to find? The questions echo in the scarred silence. You look at the monitors lining the walls. They are dark now, reflecting only the dim light, but you feel the potential within them, the dormant feed, waiting. This place is still here, and so are you, fundamentally altered. The cyclical nature mentioned in the journal feels less like a warning of something to come, and more like a description of the state you are now in, trapped in a loop of fragmented perception. The journey through the eerie hour has ended, but the haunting has just begun. The silence is loud, yes, but it is filled with phantom echoes, with the ghost of the hum, and with the quiet, persistent static that now resides within you. A constant reminder that you are never truly alone, never truly unseen. And if you hear it again tonight, don't answer. Not yet. The familiar hallway ahead stretches, elongating like pulled taffy. You take a step, and the floor feels rubbery under your feet, the walls rippling like disturbed water. It doesn't just look wrong, it feels wrong. A physical pressure settling behind your eyes, a cold weight on your chest. The facility is no longer static, no longer a mere prison of concrete and steel. It is fluid, malleable, bending to an unseen will. Doors you knew were there a moment ago simply aren't. Their frames smooth over into seamless wall, leaving no trace. A low hum, the thrum of static, resonates not just in your ears but in your bones, the signature sound of this unraveling. It is the sound of reality being rewritten. You glance at a nearby monitor, hoping for a fixed point, a view of something stable. Instead, the screen shows a warped, fish-eye perspective of the corridor you just left. But the light is different, the walls stained. For a sickening second, your reflection appears, but it turns its head before you do. A slow, deliberate movement, eyes wide with a fear that feels ancient and not entirely yours. Then the image flickers violently, a rush of visual static overwhelming the picture, leaving only fragmented shapes moving just beyond clarity. It feels less like watching surveillance and more like being trapped inside a corrupted recording, every glitch a deliberate act. Attempting to retrace your steps, to find the exit you saw hours ago, is futile. The layout shifts with each turn, each swallowed breath. A corridor you enter from the north might spit you out facing west into an entirely different room. The cold presence grows, a chilling intelligence that wraps around you, not just observing, but learning. It adapts, predicting your movements, twisting the environment to block your path before you even commit to it. Despair begins its slow creep, replacing the frantic panic of earlier. What hope is there against an opponent that controls the very rules of existence within this space? The air grows heavy, thick with the smell of ozone and something else, something sharp and metallic, like blood mixed with electricity. The auditory static intensifies, drowning out the sound of your own ragged breathing, becoming the dominant sensory input. It's a wall of noise, a physical force pressing in. On a bank of screens ahead, images flash, impossible events unfolding in impossible spaces. A room collapsing inward, not with force, but dissolving into a haze of shimmering static. A figure, perhaps yourself, standing before a door that melts away. And then, piercing through the chaos of glitches and distortions, a single, horrifyingly clear image solidifies on one screen. It is you, standing in an unfamiliar, cavernous space. the air thick with the same static haze that now surrounds you here. Your face is lost, your eyes searching nothing, and the static seems to cling to your form like a shroud. It isn't just around you, it is part of you, or this projection of you. Can you truly leave a place that has already woven itself into your very being? The will to escape feels less like a drive and more like a memory of a feeling you once possessed, fading in the face of this inescapable, fluid reality. The gray light of dawn feels alien, thin and watery after the crushing density within. But the air outside doesn't offer the promised purity. It carries that same faint, metallic tang, like old blood dried on rust, a scent that clings to the back of your throat. The silence isn't a balm. There's still that whisper-thin, high-pitched hiss just at the edge of hearing, like distant, broken machinery sighing, or a faulty wire spitting static into the quiet morning. The feeling of being watched hasn't dissipated. It's a pressure between your shoulder blades, a cold finger tracing your spine. You look at your reflection in a dusty shop window, and for a split second, the glass is filled with blinding static, a violent snowstorm of gray and white. Then it clears, showing only your own pale, bewildered face. Are the old security cameras from the facility still running, somehow broadcasting this distortion? Or has the feed been internalized, routed directly into your own mind's eye? You find yourself drawn back to reflective surfaces, windows, puddles, polished chrome, desperate to see if the distortion appears again, half terrified by the possibility, half compelled by a morbid curiosity. The facility looms behind you, far off now, looking perfectly normal, an innocent collection of brick and glass in the weak morning light. But you know what was within, and perhaps what is now within you. The memories of your time inside are fractured, incomplete, filled with holes where impossible things happened, overlaid with static and impossible images. You recall events that couldn't have taken place, see faces that weren't there, hear voices that whispered secrets no human could know. Did you truly escape, leaving the horror behind the forgotten exit? Or were you simply released, a carrier for whatever lurks beyond that door, a conduit for the signal? The static is a constant reminder, a low thrumming behind your eyes, a flicker in the corner of your vision, a persistent ghost in the machine of your own perception. You opened the door, and something came through. Now, the footage of what happened after plays on repeat, not on a monitor, but inside your own mind, a private, inescapable loop, and you can't turn it off. The horror isn't over. It has simply changed frequency, modulating into the mundane world, hiding in plain sight, waiting for you to look into the glass again. And if you hear it again tonight, don't answer. Not yet.